I'm going to talk a little bit about everything that I can, really, to try and ensure that I'm covering kind of all bases, but my background is really more media, PR, event promotion, artist promotion, etc. I just want to get a feel for you all in the room. If there are artists, or who is an artist, or who is a journalist, or a media event owner, or a label. Anyone? Yes? Okay, one of the above. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to then talk across everything, and then we'll have 10 minutes at the end for Q&A, so that, if there are any questions, I'm very, very happy to answer them. If you'll just give me 2 minutes to just talk a little bit about my background, just in terms of who I am, so that you actually get a feel for the kind of questions you can ask at the end. So I am a music junkie through and through, and if I had been just born with a singing voice, I would have loved to have been a front woman in a rock band, but that just didn't happen. So I did the very next best thing I could, was to still work in the music industry, but behind the scenes. But I didn't, when I was growing up, know that I wanted to work in music. I was born to a very sort of immigrant family, really, in Joburg. I didn't really know, I kind of never really felt, I didn't really know my place. I kind of, as soon as I started working at 14, as soon as I finished school, I took the opportunity. Luckily then, I have an international passport, went to the UK to work for a couple of years, and my dad was really, really, really pushing me to come back to South Africa to study, which I did, and I went into PR and communications because I just thought, well, that sounds pretty well-rounded, and I can possibly then carve a career from that. And it was while I was working in PR and communications at my very first job interning that we worked on the Cora All Africa Music Awards. And that, for me, doing PR and publicity for Shaggy and for BB Winans, and then being at this event and this thing was like live streamed on BET, and it was the year 2000. It was a really long time ago, but it was a really, really cool experience. And from that, I realized I wanted to hone my career on music and entertainment. Moved back to the UK, worked on Glastonbury Festival, WOMAD, Reading, Leeds, the BAFTAs, and then came back to South Africa to sort of carve a niche for myself here. And in 2011, opened my agency, which is One Eyed Jack. So the reason I told you guys all of that is just really to have a basis for the start of this conversation, and for you to feel free to ask me questions on anything from PR to brand activations to sponsorship to marketing, because I've had such a broad range of experience having covered all of these disciplines. Let me just move on to the next slide. So essentially, started One Eyed Jack in 2011, and always worked sort of with the big players in the music industry. So Rocking the Daisies, Rage Festival, the Savannah Comics Choice Comedy Awards, and then over lockdown, obviously we had no work. A lot of people in the live event space didn't. And luckily what got us through was we had already put our foot in content creation, influencer relations, and virtual events. That managed to keep us through, and it was during lockdown or just after lockdown, I went to one of the many advertising awards events that celebrates the advertising industry, and realized that so many advertisers are using content creators in their campaigns, but there were no awards events that celebrate content creators. And then I conceptualized the Content Creator Awards, of which DSTV came on board. So having gone from sort of having a PR agency to conceptualizing and producing the now DSTV Content Creator Awards in association with Samsung Galaxy, and also having worked on media and PR for the Savannah Comics Choice Comedy Awards for years, we then have now taken over in producing the Savannah Comics Choice Comedy Awards as well. So I'm here to talk to you really about how to PR yourselves as artists, the event properties you work on, and which media platforms are available to you and how to use them. Because the reality is the media landscape has changed massively over the last number of years. So let's just quickly go on to the next slide. So I've already kind of mentioned that this talk is going to sort of be a cross-section or kind of a little bit about all the disciplines, and you can ask bespoke questions at the end. But I think what we're going to really discuss is the ever-changing media landscape, what media platforms are available to you, the fact that AI and ChatGPT is now here, which is changing the game just a little bit as well. There are also sort of advertising rules and content creation, and really how to just get the most out of media for what it is that you're doing. we're going to start really with PR because that's probably, I guess, the easiest way, segue into media and marketing and promotion, and just understanding how much the media landscape has changed. So if you think about a few years ago, how many print publications there were, how thick the newspapers were, and how, I mean, yesterday I went to go buy a paper and I was amazed at how thin it was. Over lockdown, so many publications closed down. There are so few magazines. Sure, they've gone online and they're now hybrid magazines online and in print. But essentially with the landscape changing, it's had a significant impact on the way we market events and the way we market ourselves. On various PR groups, and I've had so many people message like, hey Manuela, like, are you battling to get media to come to your events these days? Because we're really, really battling to kind of get a good media turnout. And the reality is that journalists aren't just looking after sort of entertainment and lifestyle anymore. They kind of have to do a little bit of everything, and they're spread really, really thin, and they just aren't able to go everywhere. So a lot of agencies have obviously now taken a more hybrid approach and are booking not just journalists to come through to their events and photographers, but obviously content creators. And now when we get PR briefs, it's not just to do classic PR, it's also to manage the influencer relations and content creation element of the business. I also want to discuss what journalists are actually looking for before we go on to the content creation element, because we work with so many journalists, and some of you, if you are artists and you're kind of wondering, well, how do I get myself published and how do I get sort of, I want to see my name in lights. The reason I started with a bit of a story about myself is because you've got to kind of tell a story in order for a journalist to see if there's something within your story that would resonate with their readers or with their audiences, with their listeners. Before coming in here today, I actually touched base with a lot of journalists, and I said to them, especially Tekla at Text in the City, and said to her, like, what fails are you seeing? And if we were to give recommendations to any artists who are wanting to get coverage, what recommendations would you give them? And she was like, she's always surprised at how many people approach her and they haven't done their research. They don't know which publications they should be approaching for what. And it goes a long way for a journalist. If you've actually done your homework and you kind of know, I saw you did this review on this person's album, I've got a new single coming out, it's kind of in the same vein, would it interest you? So approach them, do your homework, show that you've done your homework. We also in sort of PR, we don't publicize artists per se, but we do work with events and promote events, and through that we then publicize the artists that are performing at those events. And I'm always quite surprised with big name artists that I think that obviously have an EPK and current headshots and a good bio. They don't have those things. Their admin is terrible. So the very basic thing is just have all of that stuff on the ready, because if you do get a lucky break, or if you do suddenly have a radio station with a prime spot that somebody dropped out and they're able to plug you in, they're going to need you to quickly send that kind of stuff over to them so that they can promote the fact that you're going to be on air at 5 p.m. Tekla, this is a note from Tekla, she'll always follow up with the media 2 to 3 days after your initial contact. It sounds so obvious, but it's really, I mean, people are busy. Like, I know for me, in my inboxes, don't talk to my team who are sitting here in the front row about how bad my inbox is, but I'll mark stuff as unread, and I will get there eventually, but sometimes a little prompt, particularly if something's urgent or topical, is quite useful. Tekla's also said remember to pitch to Spotify and Apple Music as well, as there are resources online who will show you how to do that. And then obviously, when it comes to social media marketing, your authenticity is absolutely key. So I just think sort of in terms of PR and marketing yourselves or marketing your events, the landscape has changed, but there are still a lot of publications out there. If you make sure that you're talking to them in the correct way possible. You can do still a spray and pray. It sounds terrible, but a lot of sort of record agencies or record labels will do that. They'll write a press release and send it out there and hope that somebody bites, but it's not going to give you great coverage, and it's certainly not going to necessarily get people raving or talking about or buying whatever it is that you need to be doing. A more in-depth quality pieces is really the way that you want to be going. So in terms of anybody in here that is an event promoter, like we do produce our own events and we market events on behalf of event promoters. So I'm moving away now from the individual and more into event marketing. And one of the things we've noticed, and actually I was chatting to Dale from Stain Entertainment, who are the guys behind Rocking the Daisies, and he was saying, they've seen a massive shift on early bird tickets and just release tickets, like not moving like they used to. You know, there used to be a case of, you know, Ultra South Africa is launching on this date, and you know, early birds would open and all the tickets would be sold out. And I don't know why I used Ultra as an example, because it's doing very well with ticket sales. But you just see that there is a decline on immediate ticket sales, and people are actually now waiting to see who's on the lineup or what's going to be at the event, because they actually then want to decide if they're going to be getting tickets. And I think what is quite interesting is obviously there are now so many events out there. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen what's happening at the end of the year, but it is huge. Like, A, I want to go to everything. B, I can't afford to go to everything. Yes, surely maybe I can get a little friend like wristband here or a friend wristband there, but they're also all over the same weekends. Do you know what I mean? So do I want to go to Burner Boy? Do I want to go to Delicious? Do I want to go here? Do I want to go there? There's a lot happening. Absolutely. And you want to go to all, but we're not like, we don't have private jets to just like... Yeah, exactly. exactly. So it's getting harder to promote events. And if you look at why one would promote event, or why one would hire an agency to promote event, initially it would be obviously drive ticket sales. Of course you want to drive ticket sales. I mean, half of these events have got 20,000 tickets they need to move. But what you've also got to do is use the current event to market the next event. So you obviously want to bring your influencers and content creators to the event you've got. Make sure that they're producing and pushing out incredible content while they're there, because the people who did choose the Burner Boy over the Delicious concert, I'll be like, oh, I wish I'd gone there, it looked so amazing, and then they're going to have the FOMO, and then they'll go the next year. And also you need to use media to promote your events because of sponsors. I mean, sponsors are looking for value as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and then you also need to subscribe to a media monitoring service to make sure you're getting all the press clippings that are coming through, so you can show your sponsors all the amazing coverage you got them, in which they were mentioned, and what the AVE was. So there have been significant changes there, but you'll see the industry moving a lot to a hybrid model of marketing via PR, radio, and all the other mediums available to them. I mentioned radio. I think what I quite enjoy about radio is, somebody said to me, but how does radio drive ticket sales? I remember it was, we can see it a lot when we organize really, really strong interviews on radio. But a number of years ago, G&G Productions was bringing Sensation to South Africa. And it was back in the day when Gareth Cliff, I really should have found a more current example, but anyway, when Gareth Cliff was still on 5FM, and Greg Walsh went into the radio, the breakfast show, and started talking about Sensation and how it was hails from Holland, and he explained the power of the production. There was a huge spike in ticket sales that morning, which you could immediately relate back to that radio interview. So I don't necessarily believe in radio to fly generic ads to promote an event. Sure, it creates awareness. You know, you hear that often enough, you might think about it. But where, for me, radio has its absolute strength is in interviews and telling somebody a little bit of the backstory and give them a reason for why they should be going to the event itself. I'm then going to look at the power of kind of seeing an opportunity and taking it, and being tactical and being smart with media, and just being a little bit creative and taking a chance. I don't know if it's the next slide. It's not. It's this slide here. So I'm jumping around a bit just because I kind of think this feels like a small enough room where we can have a conversation and it's not just me talking. But essentially, in producing the DSV Content Creator Awards, we booked Donovan Goliath as our host. And usually what we do when we've booked our lineup is we would send out a whole press release, oh, this person's hosting the event, and this is the lineup, and this is what you can expect, and this is where you can buy tickets, which of course we did, and we hold back some of the artists for the surprise and delight on the night. But we asked Donovan Goliath to then put out onto his social media the fact that he will be hosting the awards. And I want to show you this piece of content he created, and what the next steps were. Are you able to play it for me on that side? Thanks.
How much would it cost to get 10 of your biggest billboards with my face on?
Sorry, what company are you from?
No, I'm not from a company. I'm hosting Content Creator Awards, and I just want to put my face up on billboards so people know.
Is this a joke?
It's not a joke, man. You can go and see. They put the press release out and everything. I'm the host of Content Creator Awards.
F*** off, man.
So Donovan put that out last week, and we're like, we love it. It's so great. He's such an exceptional content creator. And we booked it because he's multifaceted. He's a comedian, he's a host, he's a content creator. And then Saturday morning, I woke up like, as one does with a good idea, at like 4 a.m. I'm like, oh, imagine we can get him a billboard. We have to get him a billboard. I don't have money to pay for a billboard. So I pop out an email to one of the billboard companies, and I'm searching billboard companies online, like Prime Media Outdoor. 947's our radio partner. Surely Prime Media Outdoor will give us a billboard. So I popped an email to them, then popped an email to the person I contacted Prime Media that we've at 947. I'm like, hey, I know you guys are busy with Joburg Day, but we've got this idea, crazy idea. How about giving Donovan Goliath a billboard? The event is on Saturday, and the creative could literally be, I can't believe they gave me a billboard. Anyway, I sent that through. First thing Monday morning, I'm following up. This person speaks to that person. Somebody then gets back to me going, dude, this landed on my lap, and I love it. We're going to see if we can make it happen. So this morning we got a call. My creative team quickly whipped together this, which is now going up in Sanson. So this is you guys are the first to hear it right here in this room. I was literally adjusting my presentation at the back there. But don't announce it before Donovan does, please. Okay, so not steal the MC's thunder. But essentially, it's just a really, if you can just, and you know what, we don't have money, all of us, to do incredible things, but there are a lot of media out there that will help big, thanks, yeah. That will help make a big idea possible. If you just ask them. When we did Light SA Red, I'm sure some of you guys know about that. It wasn't our idea, it was a global idea. And then all of the South African event production companies got together to shine lights up on landmarks within South Africa. So on Table Mountain and on the Cape Wheel, and it was huge. And then we were brought on board as One Eye Jack to spearhead the PR and communications around it. And what was incredible is that for the first time ever, I was on the same WhatsApp group as all my competitors in PR, because we were all working together to promote this and publicize it and make it as big as we possibly could. And what was cool about that was the first time we kind of thought, let's phone Newsclip, who are a media monitoring company, and see if they'll actually give us all the press cuttings for free. We don't have money, we're all working on this pro bono. And Newsclip came to the party and gave us all the press cuttings, and we were able to compile from that a very comprehensive awards entry, entered it into the Prism Awards, and won the Prism Awards award for the industry. So that was a media monitoring company coming to the party because they saw what they could do to help. This was Prime Media Outdoor going, we love this, we want to be involved, let's get to it. So there's a lot, and there's a good way to use media kind of full circle. Donovan is a human, he has a social media platform. We now go on to outdoor. Now when we get to the awards, we are going to show this at the awards. That content is going to be televised and then go on to TV. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of using all of your media together in a bit of a different way to kind of get the core message across. Right, how much time do we have? Sorry, I talk very fast. We've got, 10 minutes. Oh, 10 minutes left. Oh, sorry, there's the timer. Thanks. You did tell me that would be there. Okay, so I think I'm going to just touch quickly on just ChatGPT because I was actually at a talk with at Women's Week, Women's Month, with Rafira Maloto, who's one of my biggest girl crushes ever. She's the smartest human ever, and she's incredible. And we were chatting about ChatGPT, and a lot of the room are polarized, thinking that ChatGPT, or AI really, is going to be a threat to a lot of the sort of more menial jobs. But the communications and marketing people in the room were very much thinking that's the opposite, because we're seeing how our teams are now using ChatGPT to write press releases, to write social media content plans. Not you, I know you write them yourself. but it's actually quite fun. And they're seeing it as one of my friends who runs a small PR agency is now going, my client's reduced his retainer because he now wants to actually write the press releases himself using ChatGPT, and then he sends them to us to disseminate for him. Do you think this is going to become a growing trend? I personally don't. I think it's all very fun to use something initially, but if I'm running a business, if my client is running a business, I think the best thing to do is to get to run that business and let the professionals do the writing and the issuing. But it's definitely having an impact in the marketing communication world, and I'm very, very interested to see the long-term effects of that. I then also just want to talk a little bit about sort of content creation and changes in social media and how to use platforms like TikTok. I know there have been a lot of TikTok talks, so I'm not going to talk too much about TikTok, but if this context of this talk is about music promotion and promoting yourselves as artists and promoting your events, it is an incredible platform in order to do that. What is very cool is I was chatting to Omar and to one of my colleagues who used to work at Universal Music, and she was saying how much she loves the fact that as an artist these days, it's not this like stylized look, gone to the Katy Perry's and like, oh, let me get there's a niche in the market for a skater person, Avril Lavigne. Do you know what I mean? It's like not as styled as it used to be. Actually, artists are 100% allowed to be themselves, and actually it's authentic and people love it when you are yourselves. You know, when I first started using social media, well, not TikTok, but, you know, we all kind of used to produce our content a little bit too well. And what I'm loving is seeing how people are just putting what's out there. And in fact, we were at an emerging content creator workshop in Joburg a couple of months ago, and there was a panel of really, really strong content creators, and they were saying the biggest advice that they can give to anybody, any artist wanting to go into TikTok for the first time to promote their music, or anybody, is just do it. Don't worry about what people are going to think. If you just play around, post this, post that, you'll start seeing what's going to get the engagement, and you'll be able to find your niche in seeing what people are responding to. Also with social media, definitely have a niche. Do you know what I mean? People follow you for that particular niche. And with us, as One Eye Jack, working with brands and agencies and working with influencers, we would rather go to a content creator who's got a niche in beauty, for example, and put her forward to one of our clients to work with, because we know, if it's a beauty brand, obviously, because we know that all her followers are following her for that, as opposed to now going to a big celebrity who's got 3 million followers who are following them for absolutely everything and just for who the person is. So having a niche is obviously very important. What is also very interesting as well is my colleague went to a digital talk last week, and you know we sit in so many meetings, and it was like, oh, Facebook is dead. Facebook is not dead. There is still a huge need for Facebook, and for us, when we are going out to bring brands on board for our event properties, the marketing directors and the heads of marketing are the ones on Facebook. So if I want them to know about my event property, or if I want them to know of a young artist that we're trying to kind of push through, we'll be posting that stuff to Facebook, because that is where they are actually looking, and that is where they'll be able to see the people. Okay, I think I'm just going to, just a little bit about creating content to push yourself. The only other example I want to go to, because I want to give you these 5 minutes for questions, is just how to promote yourselves using social media and which artists are doing it really well. And yes, you can kind of put up I'm playing at this event on this day, and this is the lineup. It's a bit boring, but at least people will know where to find you. But you look at someone like Durban Gorgor, she's doing very well. If you look at Uncle Waffles promotes herself without promoting herself. She doesn't do this whole like smug, look at me, how big I am, I'm playing at this amazing audience. She'll post content of the audience going nuts for her set that she's playing. And that for me, or for us, feels like great content, because you get a feel for her as a performer, and us as event organizers will now want to book her, because if that's what she's going to be doing to the audiences at those events, we want a piece of that. So I think I was going to touch a little bit about our advertising regulations and all the rest of it, but I think that there's no time for that. I just really wanted to sum up to say, marketing and media and music promotion is massive. There are a ton of platforms available to you out there. I think pick the ones that work for you and your audiences and use them really, really well. Tell a story, get people to know you, get people to like you, be available for interviews, and really, just reach out to agencies like us if you kind of need a little bit of an anything. And yeah, I'm going to close with that, because I'm rambling a little bit now, and open the floor if anybody has any questions. Thank you so much. No questions? Oh, yes, good questions. I'm going to just see if there was anything else on here. No.
Hi, I'm Gabello. I'm with Music Publishers Association. Sorry, this might be slightly out of scope, and I'm not sure if it was something that you covered in like the 2 minutes I was late. But I know that a lot of marketing companies tend to rely on things like email lists and stuff like that for their press releases and so on and so forth. I'm just wondering that with just stuff going forward, like the youth don't quite tend to engage as much with email as they do community-based things like WhatsApp communities or WhatsApp groups or Reddit or Discord. So I'm just wondering how that's something that, or if that's something that you've started incorporating into your release plans or your content creation, and just sort of wondering as to how you go about that or how you'd advise to be going about that.
I'm going to answer it as best as I can because I'm not the person at the front end issuing the press release, at least as my team are. But my take on that is email is a business tool and journalists are generally working in businesses. So I would still send press releases out via email because that seems to be the business function. But in terms of working with content creators, definitely WhatsApp. Do you know what I mean? I would never, we do email as well because for me it's more polite to email than to go into somebody's WhatsApps, or I'll WhatsApp them saying, hey, are you available for a call, and just sort of broach it politely. But WhatsApp for us dealing with the youth is definitely the way forward. And now obviously with Instagram chat, that's a whole new thing as well. But for us, business is email, and WhatsApp is actually getting a response from somebody timelessly. Yes.
I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Delta the Leo. I don't want to say much what I do because I believe that, it's not the end being of it. But for the child in the township that's still trying to get ahead, and I heard that you obviously work with talent, how do they reach out to you, or what does your team has to offer or facilitate someone that has the talent and the zeal? So not just the talent, but have a body of work and just needs representation. Do you offer any services for those?
Yeah, so we don't manage artists, but how we could help is we need the artists to be on our radar so we can add them to a lineup. Essentially, there are good artist managers out there, and there are not so good artist managers out there. So if you knew of somebody that you thought was particularly brilliant, you're always welcome to come to us for our recommendation. If I was to choose somebody to look after this talent, who would it be? And we could sort of say, try these guys. They represent similar artists. They may be a good fit for you. And in terms of then in terms of being on our radar, we always just say, email us your EPK, invite us to your gigs. We can't put anybody on a lineup that we haven't seen before. It's a huge risk for us. But we always trying to look at actually giving emerging talent an opportunity. So we will kind of have you open up for somebody amazing, but you've still got to have a bit of a track record and a bit of a following and a bit of experience in order to do that. I hope that helps.
Yeah, Manuela, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Lissandro. I am from Mozambique. I represent a creatives development platform that I'm the founder of.
Bom dia.
Bom dia, bom dia. So basically, I got very enthusiastic about your international experience. I've also lived in the UK for a few. And I have a specific artist to speak about because I would like to know if you kind of understand their strategy and how they build up momentum to while they're now, and want to understand basically the role of controversy in the promotion of specific artists, right? Music promotion, which actually I think is now part of the game. And the artists are the 1975. Not sure if you know about them.
The 1975?
The 1975.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So basically, I've been following their careers since like 5 years ago, and now they have reached the moment in which the latest scandal that they had is that in Singapore, they were basically, they basically shut down the festival that they were performing on because of LGBT affairs. But on the other side, I've been following the strategy. They are on YouTube. They post a video that doesn't have anything to do with the concert, but they just like build up momentum until that thing happens. They've been running tours for the latest 3 to 5 years. So I'd like to understand what is that role of the artist in managing the promotion on basically an entrepreneurial basis without depending on agencies, so that when they start working with professional agencies like you, the work can be more facilitated. And basically the second question is, how can the role of controversy be against or pro, right, in favor of the career of the artist in that role? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tackle the second question first, the role of controversy. So we don't, as I said, manage artists, but we work with people who do manage artists. And it would make me very nervous if I had a controversial artist in my stable. I think what 1975 did, I heard about that, obviously. You know, I think it's great for artists to have a point of view or a perspective. But my opinion is know the laws of the country before you then decide to tour there, as opposed to just cancel it. But anyway, that obviously was why they were trying to make a statement. I don't know enough about it to understand the reason why they did that. So in terms of controversy, I'm not sure what your question was. Like, how do you manage that with an artist, or how do you manage the media around that?
It's basically how can the role of controversy in the society in which we are right now, that gives more attention to negative things, be in favor of the success of an artist?
Oof, I have no idea. I have no idea. Like, you know what I mean? Some controversial things happen and the artist gets massive, because media like to pick up on something. Do you know what I mean? And they'll make it big, and then the artist will get publicized. And you know, for them, they say, yeah, any news is good. Any publicity is good publicity. But yeah, I'm really, yeah, I can't answer that one really. Sorry. And then the previous question. Yeah.
I think it was very, very related to that. Is basically
Yeah.
how they kind of like build upon as an artist, doing their own marketing by their own selves.
Yeah.
You know, I've been observing like the 1975
Yeah.
from them acting on a show for 50 people, and now they basically
Yeah.
50,000 people is the amount of people that they perform.
Yeah.
So like, I believe that they have built that in a small label that is now very big. but
Yes.
It's kind of like it started as an indie label.
Yeah.
So I want to understand, pick your brain on how can that happen if they don't have access to an
Yeah.
agency like you in the beginning,
Okay.
so that your work can be facilitated when they do.
Okay, our time is up, so we'll take this offline. But essentially, just be good. They're really good. They're really good. They work really hard. They're performing everywhere. How to market yourself is just be visible, be exceptional. And, you know, maybe they didn't have a publicity team behind them when they first started, but I'm sure that they're working really hard to make sure that the right people knew that they were there. And then once they grew, for sure they had their own publicity team marketing and promoting them. These bands generally have huge PR teams. We work with them when they tour to South Africa, and we make sure that they've got, they're getting press and whatever it is when they land here. So I think the best way to market yourself is just be really, really, really good at what you do and be available for PR. My time is up. I'm very happy to answer any questions after this. I'm going to now hand over to our next speakers.